Hello everybody, this is Ravecha, back at it again with another Iceberg video. Do you guys remember YouTube? If you're my age or older, you probably do. It was a cultural juggernaut in the 2000s. However, I'm starting to see a lot of people, starting with those who were born in the late 2000s, not know about YouTube, because they grew up in a world without it. Yeah, it makes you feel old, right? It has been over 10 years since the website got shut down, and since then, a lot of the history and culture of the website have kind of faded into obscurity. It's sad because YouTube was definitely on the path to potentially becoming one of the biggest websites ever. I mean, in another universe, I would probably be making videos on YouTube instead of VidPlaza. But the shutdown of YouTube not only resulted in the fading of its cultural relevancy, but it's also buried knowledge about the site that never really had the chance to come to light. And it's super interesting, lost knowledge from a dead website. And there's honestly some really conspiratorial and creepy stuff in the story of YouTube. So with such an interesting and unexplored history, I decided to look more into it. I found this iceberg online that actually goes pretty deep into the website, its videos, and mostly a lot of the controversies regarding it that probably led to its shutdown. So today I'm going to cover it in a video. If you guys don't know what icebergs are, they're basically this template that has a bunch of topics on it, divided into layers. The top layers are the most common knowledge that everyone knows about, while the bottom layers are more obscure, usually more creepy and conspiratorial subjects. So yeah, I'm going to try and do my best to cover this, though I will say this video was difficult to put together due to the scarcity of information regarding a lot of these subjects, as well as the lack of imagery for many of them, so please forgive me if the video does seem a bit sparse at points. With that out of the way, let's get into the YouTube iceberg. First, video sharing platform. So yeah, while we take it for granted nowadays, YouTube was the first major video sharing platform. It wasn't the absolute first, as there were a couple prior, but these were much more smaller in scale and more tailored to niche interests like animation. YouTube was the first video sharing platform that really blew up, in that it had the capacity to allow anyone to upload whatever they want for free as long as they had an account. YouTube really came out at the perfect time when software had just become advanced enough to feasibly store all the data for videos, so it really was the first website that capitalized on this fact. And while it did die, it did serve as the blueprint for basically all the other video sharing websites that came after, like VidPlaza. Free music, TV, and movies. One of the reasons YouTube grew so fast initially was because people would upload pirated music, movies, and episodes of television. This was universally beloved among the people, since we no longer had to buy physical copies of music or rent out movies, and we could watch TV without needing for it to air. But of course, the people who made these pieces of entertainment didn't really appreciate it, but despite their objections, there really wasn't a clear legal ground on what they could do about it, as it was an unprecedented situation. While there were attempts to directly take down individual videos and channels, the process to do so was pretty tedious, so much wasn't done about it. As such, this continued for years with YouTube doing almost nothing about it until the Viacom lawsuit. Vlogs. Vlogs were a popular form of content on YouTube. Short for video blog, it would basically be a person talking into a camera, either describing or showing their daily life. This format, while simple, was popular, and many people loved to tune in to people sharing details about their lives. They aren't as popular nowadays, but they dominated YouTube in the mid to late 2000s. YouTube versus Viacom. This is the infamous lawsuit that shut down YouTube. In October of 2011, the entertainment company Viacom filed a $10 billion lawsuit against YouTube, claiming that YouTube had deprived them of this money due to their tacit approval of unauthorized copyrighted material being uploaded by YouTube users. Viacom was backed by basically every major entertainment and music company, and as such were able to definitively win the lawsuit. There was probably some money being exchanged behind the scenes to ensure YouTube's downfall, but you didn't hear that from me. Well, I said definitively win, but there was one part of the lawsuit that Viacom didn't win, and that was a list of the users uploading pirated material. Due to the Digital Patriot Act, a lot of these accounts had real IDs attached to them, and Viacom wanted this user information to go after individuals. However, they were denied, since this user information was for government agencies only. And honestly, a bunch of the accounts uploaded pirated material were from before 2008, so they wouldn't have an attached real person anyway. But yeah, since YouTube wasn't able to pay the $10 billion, they had to file for bankruptcy, and soon after, on January 19, 2012, YouTube services were shut down to the public. VidPlaza. I guess this is just on here because this was a direct response to YouTube shutdown. YouTube had already become a sort of pariah by the late 2000s, and by the early 2010s, people who were paying attention knew the website's demise was coming sooner or later. While a couple companies worked on replacements, VidPlaza was the most polished, and one that also didn't require you to pay to upload. However, there were restrictions on its content, which YouTube didn't have, but in the end, I guess that's why it survived when YouTube didn't. By 2011, a lot of YouTubers had already made backup accounts on VidPlaza, and after the shutdown, VidPlaza grew in popularity even more, and now we all use it. Let's Plays. This was a format of video that first showed up on YouTube, though it was popularized on VidPlaza. Let's Plays are just that, a video where somebody plays a video game, typically accompanied by commentary and a facecam. This was an easy and fun way to make content, and it seemed like a gold rush was about to happen with Let's Plays, at least until 2010. You see, despite the fact that an individual would be creating their own gameplay and recording with their own voiceover, game companies decided that since you were using their game, that you had no right to benefit from uploading their material. Basically, until 2010, these Let's Plays existed in the same legal gray area as uploads of movies and stuff. However, this would all change. In late 2010, a small YouTuber named PewDiePie would upload Let's Plays of himself playing a horror game called Amnesia: The Dark Descent. The videos would go viral and PewDiePie would start to grow exponentially, almost reaching 100,000 subscribers. However, before he hit that milestone, Frictional Games, the developers of Amnesia, just went berserk and aggressively threatened YouTube to take down their copyrighted materials and pay them for damages, as they believed PewDiePie's gameplay was a sufficient replacement for the experience of the game, resulting in lost sales. Despite being a smaller company, Amnesia did get YouTube to budge, and PewDiePie's channel was completely wiped in December of 2010, and YouTube ended up paying millions to Frictional Games, essentially being forced to pay for the number of views on PewDiePie's Amnesia videos multiplied by the cost of the game, which was how the legal system calculated losses. This created a domino effect as other game dev companies started seeing huge paydays and started to file lawsuits of their own, taking down gaming channels left and right, while also forcing YouTube to pay up a lot of money. And it's likely that the success of these lawsuits is what finally got the bigger entertainment companies like Viacom to push their huge lawsuit against YouTube, getting it shut down. When VidPlaza first started off, they too banned Let's Plays of games. However, there was one game that actually allowed VidPlaza creators to upload Let's Plays: Minecraft. Minecraft actually took the opposite approach, as they believed that Let's Plays would actually act as free advertising for their game, and that this would result in much more money long term than whatever they'd get out of a lawsuit. And they were right, Minecraft would blow up in popularity thanks to content creators on VidPlaza. Seeing this, game companies would slowly start allowing creators to make Let's Plays of their games, and today gameplay videos are still quite popular. I wonder what would have happened if companies figured this out before going all ham with the lawsuits. Maybe YouTube would still be around today. LOL Superman. Well, this is a dark entry, especially for the first layer, but it absolutely deserves to be here, as we all know that this is the most infamous video of all time. Other videos on YouTube and VidPlaza have launched careers and trends, but this is the one video which changed how the entire internet operated, as well as changed the life of every single American and a good chunk of the global population. Many people credit LOL Superman with killing the old internet and bringing forth the current corporatized and government-controlled internet. We are all familiar with the tragic November 9th, 2001 attacks where terrorists hijacked 4 planes and crashed them into the Twin Towers, Pentagon, and Capitol building. Of course, footage of the attacks would circulate that day on the mainstream media, as that was really the only format available to widely share footage back in 2001. However, the burgeoning internet would also provide places to upload videos, though they would be hidden for a good time. You see, the original footage for LOL Superman started off like this, though it wasn't nearly as controversial. It was simply called the Plaza Tape, and with this we know the name of the man who uploaded it, all the details, everything. It was one of the most infamous tapes to come out of that day, but the subject matter was too graphic for any mainstream news media to actually show. As we know, on the day of the attack, the plane crashes into the Twin Towers caused massive fires in the upper floors. It would take over an hour for the firemen to put these fires out, and in that time, the people stuck on the upper floors would be trapped by the slowly growing fire. Tragically, the inferno grew too strong to bear, and these people were forced out of the building, where they fell to their deaths. These fallers are one of the saddest stories of an already sad day, and the images of their final moments are the most striking ones to come out of November 9th. While footage of their falls from far away have been shared by mainstream media and documentaries, with a lot of it actually coming from live broadcasts of said media, the Plaza Tape was not shared, since it showed it from close up. As the name suggests, the cameraman of the Plaza tapes was right in the World Trade Center Plaza, directly below the Twin Towers, and he was able to document several of these falls from very close up, including the impact and aftermath. Of course, this footage was too gruesome and distressing to show on TV, so it was uploaded to some old obscure site where it would circulate among smaller circles on the internet. It would be uploaded to YouTube later, but the uploader made one change that turned the video from distressing to extremely offensive. On February 13th, 2007, a YouTube user named YouMad1939 uploaded a Plaza tape as their first and only video. However, they titled it LOL Superman, and they would also add the John Williams Superman theme as the background music. The reasons for this choice is unknown. Most people believe that this was just supposed to be some sick joke the user wanted to show to their friends, and it wasn't intended to be widely seen. However, out of all the videos the YouTube algorithm picked up, this happened to be one of them, and this video went viral, getting hundreds of thousands of views. And as more people saw it, the outrage grew, fueling the video's views more, and it would even break 1 million views. Soon, a national panic happened because of this video, and many people were mad at YouTube for even allowing this sort of content, and they were justified. There was a hunt for the uploader of the video, but since back then the accounts were anonymous, it was impossible to find them. Of course, YouTube would take the video down as soon as it became a national topic even mainstream news would talk about, but the damage had been done. The government had even gotten involved. America was disgusted that such content was being uploaded, and they were worried about who was uploading this type of stuff, with many believing that the uploader was sympathetic to the attackers, and what other potentially dangerous material was being uploaded. President Gore himself would even comment on the matter, saying that it was morally reprehensible for the internet to allow such content. Alongside just LOL Superman, more outrage was directed at the explicit, violent, and gore content that was also allowed on the platform, which is pretty messed up, especially considering a little kid can just randomly stumble across it after taking a few wrong clicks away from a nursery rhyme video. As a response to the national outrage, Congress would propose the Digital Patriot Act with the intention of preventing breaches of national security via the internet and getting rid of the anonymized nature of the internet that would allow people to get away with uploading objectionable content. The bill passed with bipartisan support, with all representatives voting in favor of it and only one senator voting against it. It allowed the government to monitor all of our digital activity, including stuff you would normally want private, such as text messages. Additionally, now in order to make an online account, you would need to include all of your personal information, including a government-issued ID. This is so that any material posted on the internet can be easily traced back to a real person. YouTube would be forced to comply with this law, and while they didn't apply it to accounts created before the law, meaning they stayed anonymous. The Digital Patriot Act has been criticized by many, with people calling it a gross overreach of government power and a danger to free speech. And even leaving the government aside, the security implications of having basically every site user's highly sensitive personal information in some back-end database means that it's really vulnerable to hackers. But despite that, the quote-unquote security provided by the Digital Patriot Act meant that it would stick around, and now we have to accept that we live in a world where it is widely implemented and defines our personal lives as well as overall societal trends. And it all started because of this one YouTube video, LOL Superman. Lucas. Well, we go from a dark topic to a lighter one. Lucas was the largest YouTube channel, being the first and only channel to cross 1 million subscribers, a huge milestone. His videos were a parody of the popular vlog format at the time. The channel was owned by a guy named Fred Cruikshank, and he would play a character named Lucas Littlehorn, a really hyperactive, kinda stupid, and frankly annoying 6-year-old boy, despite the fact that Fred himself, the actor, was a teenager. The videos were notable as Fred's voice would be pitched up for the Lucas character, making it super grating. The editing style was also hyperactive, with multiple cuts per second not being common. However, this was basically like sugar for little kids who formed the base of the Lucas subscriber base. But despite this seemingly child audience, the subject material of the videos themselves were quite dark. In universe, Lucas's mother was an abusive drug addict, which apparently caused Lucas to develop several undiagnosed mental illnesses, which in turn would make him lash out, causing ostracization and bullying at school. He would talk about his dysfunctional life in these videos. Of course, the contrast between the overtly bubbly presentation and the really distressing stories themselves is the comedic irony that Fred wanted to highlight with his videos. as the channel itself was a parody of serious vloggers who basically provided a sanitized and optimistic view of their life. This edgy humor would bring in older teenager viewers, though none of them would probably admit to liking him. Lucas ended up being the first channel with over 1 million subscribers in early 2010, which is a pretty huge accomplishment only he had, so his popularity was not to be understated. There was even preliminary talks to make a full feature film based on the character, but these plans fell through when YouTube shut down, taking the Lucas channel with it. While people have re-uploaded his videos on VidPlaza, Fred himself did not pursue making videos after the shutdown of YouTube. Livestream. While YouTube is known for being the first platform to popularize video sharing, it was also the first platform to feature live streaming as something available for everyone to do. Pretty cool, especially considering how big streaming is nowadays on sites like Flinch. The algorithm. YouTube's recommendation system was powered by something simply called the algorithm, which would take demographic data of the user, video metadata, and several other metrics to feed videos to different people. It would also include the first instances of machine learning being applied on a wide scale. Out of all the contributions YouTube has made to internet technology, this is actually the most impactful, as basically all the internet nowadays uses a similar sort of system to recommend content, search results, and ads. However, people have noticed that the modern recommendation algorithms tend to be much worse than YouTube's was, and it's not clear why YouTube's algorithm as a whole is not being implemented by other companies. Nursery Rhymes. While YouTube's most subscribed channel was Lucas, its most viewed videos were Nursery Rhymes, with the most viewed being Twinkle Twinkle Little Star by a channel named Rhyme Time, having around 12 million views at the time of YouTube shutdown. This is probably because nursery rhymes are a thing parents across the world would be interested in looking up, and kids probably just clicked on them and rewatched a bunch. Pretty lame most viewed video though, if you ask me. Sandstorming. Now I can do the typical thing of faking you out with a fake entry only to sandstorm you, but I'm gonna be mature and not do that. Sandstorming is the practice of sending a link to someone, pretending it's something relevant to the conversation, only to have them open the link and it turns out to be the music video for Sandstorm by Darude. This is an internet prank that lives on to this day, but it actually originated from 2 dead websites. Of course, the link shared would initially be to the YouTube video of Darude Sandstorm, but the practice itself started on 4chan, a site which itself was shut down after the Digital Patriot Act. But despite that, Sandstorming lives on, a testament to its universal greatness. In fact, the DJ Darude knew about this back when YouTube was still up, and he approved of it, thinking it was really funny and not even caring that the link was to a pirated version of his song. Pretty awesome guy to keep this upload up for the meme, though the current VidPlaza Sandstorm link does lead to his official page. Hey yeah. Hi yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that out loud. But this is one of the classic YouTube memes. It was a music video parody uploaded by the user Slack Circus in 2009. It was an edited clip of He-Man from the old 80s show set to a song Slack Circus made himself. The video had over 2 million views by 2011 and is still remembered as a relic of the classic internet. Alan Walker. Alan Walker is a music producer who made a bunch of electronic dance music. He is notable in this Iceberg because he made his music copyright free, meaning anybody could use it. So they were freely available on YouTube, and anyone could download it and use it as background tracks of their own videos. Due to this, Alan Walker songs basically became the soundtrack of YouTube, being used in what seemed like half the videos uploaded to the site. Nowadays, Alan Walker is still considered a legend for allowing his music to be used for free, and many people view his track as a somewhat nostalgic reminder of the glory days of the internet. YouTube Poops. These were a type of video parodies that were relatively popular on YouTube, with the most popular ones getting around 200,000 views. They were humorous remix edits made of different media, typically but not exclusively shows or movies. Most of the editing consisted of fast cuts, usually to make the characters say something different from their actual dialogue. There were also a lot of repetitive edits to the audio, and some humorous visual edits such as filters, hue changes, and even some green screen effects. While some YouTube poops had an overarching storyline or even story concept, most of them just focused on making an absurd and surreal final product. Popular sources of YouTube poops included the Sonic animated show from the 90s, the Mario show from the late 80s, as well as the CDI Zelda games, as these tended to be easier to get your hands on and actually edit. However, YouTube poops were made from all sorts of cartoons and even theatrical live-action movies. These were truly passion projects, hours of painstaking edits just for the artistic value, and yes, I will call it art. Unfortunately, after YouTube shut down and VidPlaza's creation, these types of videos died out. They're not called VidPlaza poops after all. This is because VidPlaza encouraged more corporate-style, sanitized content, which was more marketable to advertisers, something YTPs definitely were not. Additionally, AI voice generators that were able to replicate existing voices convincingly were available for widespread use by 2014, meaning that after that a lot of shitposts including characters saying something wacky were just made with AI instead of audio splicing, meaning that fundamental aspect of YTPs were gone. With that being said, the old YTPs are almost all reposted on VidPlaza, and some people still make that style of content to this day, keeping the old ways alive. They even still title them YouTube poops. First YouTube video. Have you wondered what the first YouTube video is? Well, others have, and a common answer is that it's Me at the Zoo by Jawed Karim, one of the founders of YouTube. This video is of him at the elephant exhibit in the Bronx Zoo, just talking about the elephants. However, this isn't actually the first video. While Me at the Zoo was uploaded on April 23, 2005, the actual first video was titled Comtest 2, uploaded on February 28, 2005. The channel itself was called Comtest, and we know it was deleted pretty soon. As I read online, it was deleted by 2006. The video itself is incredibly basic, just basic lines in different colors, switching order, accompanied by various beeping noises. It was likely a test of the audio and visuals of videos uploaded to YouTube. Though the elephant in the room here is that if the video is titled Comtest 2, where is Comtest 1? Was it uploaded and deleted immediately? What did it contain? Did it even exist? I mean, it's possible that it did exist but was never uploaded, and Comtest 2 was just the name of the revised video file that was uploaded. This is something we will never know, as the founders of YouTube are all currently dead or missing, which is unfortunate because I would have loved to have known more about the thought process of early YouTube. Creepypastas. Creepypastas are short horror stories meant to be shared on the internet. This is not a YouTube thing by any means. Most creepypastas are written and shared on text or image forums outside of YouTube. However, creepypastas were an incredibly popular genre of video on YouTube as they were easy to make. Just read a creepypasta, add some spooky ambience in the background, and optionally add some related imagery. These reading videos got a lot of views, with several of them even crossing the 1 million view mark. However, there were other creepypasta related videos that were much higher quality, the most notable example being The Granite Hornets, which was a Blair Witch Project style found footage series based on the creepypasta character Slender Man. Some creepypastas which grew popular on YouTube are, of course, Slender Man, Jeff the Killer, The Glass-Eyed Grinner, and Smile Dog. These are just examples of original character creepypastas, and there are a bunch more based on existing TV shows, video games, or even spooky horror stories without an iconic monster or killer. Government buyout. In 2014, the American government inexplicably acquired YouTube. Despite the fact that YouTube was shut down at this point, it was still known that private servers inaccessible to the public were still running, though on an incredibly small scale. YouTube also owned some of their data centers, and of course, they still owned the rights to the actual code of YouTube. The US government bought all of this for $65 billion. They made whatever employees were left working at YouTube pass the security clearance. Those who didn't were laid off with a hefty severance pay, and the rest still do work on YouTube for the government. It is unknown exactly what they're doing, and the laid-off employees refused to disclose anything since they had to sign an NDA, so it's really anyone's guess as to what's going on with YouTube right now. Marina Mordegard-Gluskery. Just to warn you before we get started, I will be showing a small snippet of the video here. It's not enough to harm you, don't worry. Trust me, I watched it with no protection, and I still have my eyes, so you're good. But it's totally understandable if you're uncomfortable, so you can skip past this entry if you want. I will be showing it right now. Marina Mordegard-Gluskery was a video cognito hazard uploaded to YouTube by the user MMG Layer 1 on April 17, 2009. The video itself was of some man looking into a camera, the entire frame coded in red. Over the course of the 2-minute runtime, the man would gouge his own eyes out, while the video was also distorted visually. The effect warped the visuals into a pattern that created a cognito hazard, effectively hypnotizing the viewer into repeating the action performed in the video, gouging their own eyes out. Now, this isn't necessarily that strange. By that point in time, we already knew about how cognito hazards work, and malicious groups had used the internet to spread them, such as in the 2008 Twitter basilisk attack. However, the weird part is how a computer would act while playing this video. Strangely, it would turn on the webcam and film the viewer for 2 minutes as to gouge their own eyes out, and then it would take that video file and upload it onto the user's YouTube account. The distortion effect was replicated using YouTube's on-platform editor, and the video would be uploaded with the same metadata as the original Mariana Mordegard-Glesgery video. This immediately makes me think that the original user not only just uploaded the video, but also wrote a script so that clicking on the video would somehow run the script on the user's computer that would perform all of these actions. At least that's the only explanation that makes sense to me. However, while YouTube has been hacked other times, there's never been a case where a hacker was able to straight up inject a script into a video's data and have it execute. And we have to keep in mind that the videos the victim's computers uploaded also had the same effect. If someone were to watch one of these videos, their computer would do the same thing. So if this theory was true, the script would be able to inject itself into the other video's data, a self-replicating virus. But it still seems too far-fetched for me, and we don't even know who did this. MMG Layer 1, despite being an account made after the passing of the Digital Patriot Act, did not have a real person attached to it. I mean, if they were able to exploit YouTube to the extent they did, I wouldn't be surprised if they were also able to bypass needing an ID to make an account. Another strange thing about Mariana Mordegard-Glesgery was how quickly it spread. I think after the first few people watched it and their accounts uploaded the videos of them, somehow the algorithm saw all these people shared the exact same data, and assuming it was some new trend, it recommended it to more people, and it only grew exponentially. Thankfully, since a lot of the people didn't really click on these random videos and they're recommended, not a lot of people were affected. There were only 7,946 reported cases of people blinding themselves due to this cognito hazard, which is a really low count compared to the casualties of the other online cognito hazard attacks of the 2000s. And thankfully, YouTube was able to scrub the site completely clean of these videos in just 2 days, being that they couldn't hurt anyone else. Still, even with my theory, I'm still hesitant to accept that this was just a regular attack. Others online seem to agree with the sentiment. Like, the way YouTube itself behaved during this doesn't seem like it was the result of a hack. It kind of felt like, for some reason, YouTube itself was pushing this. Was it an inside job by an employee? Who knows, and I'm afraid that I could fall victim to a cognito hazard attack on another site, and I'm also worried that you, dear viewer, could also be a victim, which is why you should use today's sponsor, DistroLens. While nowadays cognito hazard attacks meant to kill or maim don't really happen, cognito hazards are still used in other malicious ways. They can hypnotize you into giving up credentials, they can force you to commit actions on their behalf, and even though they don't admit it, legitimate companies use cognito hazards to influence you to buy their products. It happens, trust me. So if you want to browse the web safely, you need to use DistroLens. Like other cognito hazard protection goggles, these glasses use specialized lenses in order to distort the visuals on the screen that you're looking at, so that cognito hazard patterns don't work. Unlike its competitors though, DistroLens uses specially polarized lenses that don't alter color, shape, or scale of what you're looking at. The glasses will simply distort the light of the screen slightly, the only noticeable difference being that the screen will look slightly darker. Yes, this still works for basically every single type of common cognito hazard, and it works well. DistroLens tested this project on a bunch of cognito hazards, and 97% of test participants survived looking at even the most dangerous cognito hazards while wearing this product. 97%. That number makes me feel safe browsing the internet wearing the DistroLens, and I can't recommend this enough. If you're going to buy the DistroLens, please use the referral link in the description of this video and enter in code RYVETCHA for a 20% discount. That's RYVETCHA, just like my channel name. So now that you've ordered your DistroLens, let's go back to the video. Netrunner Torso. Netrunner Torso is a strange YouTube channel that was created on June 22, 2005, so very early on in YouTube's lifespan. However, it wasn't discovered until early 2011, over 5 years later, and people were utterly baffled as to what they saw. First of all, it's extremely likely that the Netrunner Torso holds the record for most videos uploaded on a channel, having over 70,000 videos at the time of its discovery, uploading videos dozens of times every day. The channel was highly structured. Each video was titled Layer followed by an ID, and each video consisted of hundreds of labeled frames. Each frame consisted of a red and blue shape as well as a tone. Each video was part of one of 5 playlists titled Epic 0 to 4. The epics were divided by year, with Epic 0 containing videos uploaded in 2005 and Epic 4 containing ones that were uploaded in 2009. the last year that this channel actually uploaded videos. Now, the content of the video as well as the upload frequency obviously means that this was some sort of automated process, but who was doing it and why? Now, the flashing colors and playing tones remind me of Comtest, meaning that Netrunner Torso could be run by YouTube themselves, but this was never confirmed. And while the video started off meaningless, people have said that the later videos would become more structured and decipherable, with the final videos actually taking the shape of people moving. It was as if the channel was learning how to make a video, or how to at least structure pixels to look like a video. Unfortunately, since the channel was discovered mere months before YouTube shut down, not much investigation was able to be completed, so this remains an intriguing mystery. I feel fantastic. This is the title of a video uploaded on January 14th, 2010 by the user NeeU77, which accumulated 130,000 views. The video features an animatronic posing and singing a song, Fantastic Hey Hey Hey, in a robotic voice. The video then cuts to footage of a field, and then in a part I can't show here, a lifeless body of a woman who bears a striking resemblance to the animatronic. The video then cuts back to the animatronic. Initially, most people thought that this was an art project. It was supposedly about a grieving husband who couldn't let go of his deceased wife, so he made an animatronic that looks like her singing I Feel Fantastic. She's A-okay. However, the truth was much darker. A viewer ID'd the body in the video as a real missing persons case and contacted the police. The police investigated NeeU77, and unfortunately the dead body was real, and it was that missing woman. Apparently NeeU had kidnapped and ended that woman's life, and then dressed up the animatronic in her clothes, presumably for his own satisfaction. The video was his sick way of gloating what he had done. With that, the video became one of the most disturbing on the website, not only because of the tragic background, but because the way NeeU showed off his actions in his video was plain creepy. I've never seen anything else quite like it. May the victim rest in peace. Video comments. One thing that made YouTube unique among any social media, to this day even, is the fact that you can leave videos as comments to other videos. While this was a cool idea for a video-based platform, it wasn't utilized to its fullest extent because most people wouldn't bother recording a whole video just to comment. However, a bunch of YouTubers would utilize this feature, typically responding to their peers or more frequently posting videos under a bigger channel to try and mooch off some views from them. Easter eggs. YouTube had many Easter eggs hidden on their website. Here are some of the cooler ones. First, we have the Nyan Cat Easter egg. When watching the original Nyan Cat video, the progress bar would turn into a Nyan Cat itself. There was a similar Easter egg with a video titled Dune Worm Ride Scene, which of course was that scene from Lynch's Dune. The progress bar changed to a sandworm, though I couldn't find any videos or even image of this Easter egg. The insane part is that this upload, coming from some random dude, was technically piracy, so an employee at YouTube acknowledging it and even adding an Easter egg to it is wild. Another Easter egg is that when watching a video, if you just press the letters LUKAS on your keyboard, not in a search bar or anything, the video's audio would be pitched up. This was a fun nod to Lucas, their biggest channel, and even though it's annoying, it's still cool. The username 666 Easter egg is exactly that. If you went on any channel, changed the channel username to 666, and kept refreshing the page, the visuals would become more bloody and demonic. The only way to reset it would be to close out of YouTube. For a final Easter egg, if you looked up Doge, the font of the page would change to Comic Sans, referencing the meme. Data center bombing. On November 19, 2016, a YouTube data center in Virginia, then government-owned, was bombed, completely destroying the location. Thankfully, the perpetrators were sent out a threat beforehand, warning all employees to evacuate, meaning that nobody was killed in the attack. Clearly, the intent was not to harm any people, but rather destroy the infrastructure there. The perpetrators were a group of 8 former YouTube employees who were tried and sentenced to life in prison with parole. They wrote a manifesto, but this was not released to the public. It's likely that they did this just because they were upset of being laid off during the government buyout, but that is just speculation. Jeff the Killer stabbing. The entry on the original image says Slenderman stabbing, but I think the creator of the Iceberg misremembered because there was no such incident. However, there was a similar incident revolving around Jeff the Killer, which is probably what they meant. On April 30th, 2010, 2 13-year-old girls in Minnesota lured their friend into the woods in their neighborhood and stabbed her multiple times with kitchen knives. Fortunately, the victim did survive and make a full recovery. The 2 girls filmed the attack and posted it on YouTube, though it was taken down within days. When the two assailants were apprehended and interrogated, they said that they did it because they would watch a bunch of Jeff the Killer creepypasta videos and wanted to recreate some of the acts in those stories to try and gain the admiration of Jeff the Killer, the character. When asked why they filmed it, they said they didn't really know. They had created a channel just before the attack and claimed that they just suddenly both decided to do it out of the blue while watching a JTK video without any prior planning. The girls were institutionalized and given mental treatment, and currently they are out living actual normal lives, presumably. This attack sparked a discussion about how internet content could influence the behavior of younger children watching it, but personally I think blaming YouTube is wrong here. So many kids watched creepypastas, yet they all knew it was fictional and that it was wrong to commit those heinous acts in real life. Founders. Who are the founders of YouTube? There are three of them: Jawed Karim, Steve Chan, and Chad Hurley. They were all grad students at the University of California, San Diego, studying machine learning. They had an idea to make an online dating site called YouTube, where people would upload videos about themselves on a profile to potentially attract other users. They then realized that they didn't need to limit the scope of YouTube to just dating, so they made it into a regular video sharing website, and the rest is history. As the years passed and YouTube got into controversies, the three of them would face massive scrutiny, and they would even be questioned in a government hearing when they were investigating the whole LOL Superman thing. As of right now, all three of them are MIA one way or another. Unfortunately, Jawed Karim died in a car accident in 2009. Steve Chan would actually retire from YouTube in late 2009, right after Karim's death. He would create an AI startup focusing on AI-powered search engine optimization. However, the company was not successful, and it would close when Chan actually rejoined YouTube in 2014 after the government buyout, seemingly because the government wanted to consult him regarding YouTube. After this, he hasn't been seen in public, so who knows what he's up to. Chad Hurley, as the last member of the trio working at YouTube, was the one who had to deal with the chaos and lawsuits of 2011 and 2012. After the shutdown in 2012, he would actually fly to the Soviet Union and never return to the United States since. People say that this was to avoid some sort of legal trouble or money owed due to the lawsuits, and escape to the USSR since they wouldn't extradite him back to America. But due to YouTube's bankruptcy, he shouldn't actually need to pay anything out of pocket. I guess he just really liked the USSR, though I'm not sure how he'd lived there considering he wasn't exactly rolling in retirement level cash. Although it did hear that he's actually working for the Soviet government, but he hasn't been seen much in public like Chan, so I wonder what he's actually doing. Hi Walter. This is a disturbing video uploaded on October 11th, 2007, the full title being Hi Walter, I got a new girlfriend today. This video was of this one guy, Patrick, filming a message to his friend Walter, and he seemed to be excited to show his new girlfriend to his friend. However, when he goes to show us his quote-unquote girlfriend, he instead shows a girl being tied up on the floor in his basement begging for help, and the video ends there. Once the titular Walter watched this video, he was extremely shocked and disturbed, and immediately alerted the authorities. Patrick was arrested and the girl was rescued. It was such a recent kidnapping that she hadn't even been reported missing yet. Thankfully, she was not harmed physically in any way beyond the actual kidnapping itself, though it was certainly a traumatizing experience. The interesting thing is that Walter was extremely confused as to why Patrick would do this. He, as well as many others, testified that Patrick was normally an extremely sweet guy who would apologize even after accidentally brushing you. Kidnapping someone was something they couldn't even fathom him doing. When interrogated, Patrick said that he was a fan of true crime videos, and when watching a few of them one afternoon, he suddenly felt compelled to commit a kidnapping like the ones he was watching. Walter was actually also confused as to why he uploaded it to YouTube. They would normally send each other videos on a private IM, so Patrick publicly uploading this to YouTube, especially since it was his first upload, makes no sense. Once again, Patrick said that he just felt a compulsion to do so. It's weird. Although it does remind me of another case, 112 Scumbag. This guy named Jeffrey Alden supposedly claimed in a police interrogation that he kidnapped a girl because he felt a compulsion after watching a bunch of YouTube videos about a previous kidnapping case. He didn't actually post a video of the kidnapping, but he did create a channel called 112 Scumbag, referencing the case he was watching videos about, and uploaded a video of himself laughing. Again, both of them getting compulsions to commit crimes and upload them while watching YouTube videos is just weird. There has to be an underlying reason, right? Or maybe it's just that people who are interested in true crime enough to watch videos of them are also the same demographic more likely to commit these crimes. 2009 Christmas Day hack. On December 25, 2009, YouTube suffered a massive hack that affected every single video. They all had their thumbnail changed to My Sweet Piano from Hello Kitty. Additionally, the videos themselves were changed. While they kept the same length as the original video, they replaced. The video and audio were different. Well, there was no audio, and there was only one visual, the same image of My Sweet Piano as the thumbnail, but now with text overlaid. YouTube is forcing you to obey, consume, conform. This message was a reference to Stanley Kubrick's movie They Live. In the movie, a secret elite class of aliens rules over humanity and forces them to act in certain ways through subliminal messages placed in mass media. Of course, the person who performed this hack felt that YouTube was doing the exact same thing. YouTube actually went down for maintenance a couple hours after this hack happened, and it was back up a day later, all the videos restored. This is quite the infamous hack because while it wasn't uncommon for an individual video or even channel to be hacked, every single video on the website being replaced is unprecedented. Nothing like that has ever happened since. Most people agree that in order to pull something like that off, you would need inside information regarding the code of the website, meaning the perpetrator was likely a YouTube employee, making the actual content they replaced the videos with that much more intriguing. iChannel. This was a YouTube channel literally just called I. The channel's videos were very homogeneous, with each of them being an eye blinking 3 times. With each blink, the eye would show a day, month, and year, with the year always being 2009. So why is this on the Iceberg? Well, every video would be titled with a celebrity's name, and the date in the video would correspond to their date of death, with every celebrity on the channel dying in 2009. The shocking part? All the videos were uploaded in 2006, meaning that this channel accurately predicted the death of every major celebrity in 2009, years before it happened. The channel would go viral in 2010 after a bunch of people, even outside of YouTube, shared the videos predicting the death dates of Michael Jackson, Tom Cruise, and Britney Spears, 3 of the highest profile celebrity deaths of 2009. This resulted in the channel getting over 47,000 subscribers, an absolutely insane amount for such a niche channel. While all the MySpace moms and boomers seemed to believe this at face value, more keen-eyed viewers would notice some odd details. For example, while the video's upload date said 2006, there was not a single comment on the channel from before 2010, and then it was pretty easy to figure out what happened. The videos themselves were uploaded in 2006, but they were then edited afterwards. YouTube has an in-house editor that allows you to do basic video edits, such as cutting. What the guy behind the iChannel did was, in 2006, he uploaded a bunch of videos for a bunch of celebrities with an unlisted visibility. These videos would contain every day and month of the year. When a celebrity actually died in 2009, he'd go in, edit the video, cutting out everything except for the day of the celebrity's death. Then once 2010 hit, he would unlist all the videos of celebrities that died, and any videos for celebrities that were still alive just remained unlisted. Since YouTube doesn't let you know if a video has been edited and keeps the original upload date of an unlisted video after it goes public, to a viewer stumbling across the channel, it just looks like this person could see the future. Of course, once people figured this out, the comments were just filled with people explaining this process, and the guy behind the iChannel came out and uploaded a video explaining how he did it, which the commenters got right. But even though it was obviously some sort of hoax, it was extremely clever and cool, and even impressive in how seamlessly it worked. Honestly, if he had made a bunch of throwaway accounts to comment on the videos in 2006, 2007, and 2008, and 2009 while they were still unlisted, it's entirely possible that people would have had a much harder time figuring out how this was possible. But yeah, this was a fun little moment in the old YouTube community. I remember my mom freaking out about this one YouTube video she saw that predicted Michael Jackson's death date, and she was so confused she thought something actually paranormal was going on. ABCXX Comments. Unlike the previous entry, this one hasn't been documented very well, and the only account we have of this is just the word of multiple people on online discussion forums, and some VidPlaza creators actually talking about it, as people didn't really think this was notable until after YouTube shut down, when they started realizing other people saw these weird comments. So this could be an elaborate hoax by multiple people, but I don't really see any end goal for this hoax, so I think it's real. Between 2008 and 2009, several users reported seeing weird comments from various accounts named ABCXX, with the XX being a stand-in for whatever number you want to substitute. These accounts would exclusively post video comments that shared the same title and thumbnail as the video they were under. Upon clicking though, the video was just apparently epileptic flashing, just a weird trend I guess, and the similarity in channel names means that it all seems to be one group or even person doing this. Supposedly these videos would make them even more intrigued by the subject of the initial video, though I guess I would too if I saw this enigmatic comment underneath. The real username 666. There is a conspiracy theory that the username 666 Easter egg on YouTube was made to cover up the actual username 666, a channel which doesn't exist because it was deleted by YouTube themselves. The conspiracy states that there was a real username 666 channel that posted a bunch of horrific stuff, so bad that YouTube stepped in and purged it, which, if you've been paying attention, you know that it has to be some heinous stuff for YouTube to actually take action. Not only did they delete it, they also wanted to hide it so bad that they created their own Easter egg version of the page, so that if people ever look up username 666, all the search results would be about the Easter egg, not the real page that came before it. However, I do think that this is just an urban legend, as I was unable to find any hard proof of such a channel existing. Blankroomsoup.avi. This was a really old and bizarre video from 2005 with only around 3,000 views. The video is of a man messily eating some sort of soup alone in a room when two masked characters walk in. They start to console him as he breaks down crying, all while still eating the soup. Now, this video apparently had people claiming that it was found on the dark web and that an evil cult kidnapped this man, murdered his family, and forced him to eat their bodies through the soup. And for some reason this was accepted despite being completely ridiculous. This was just an art project by students at the University of Texas at Austin, nothing more, nothing less. Polaris paper. This was a research paper that came out of Northeastern University in 2010. A team of psychologists studied YouTube's emotional influence on users. They found that YouTube tended to have a polarizing effect on viewers, even those who didn't have a connection to the subjects of the videos prior. They created a new channel specifically with videos they deemed to be mundane. These videos were on banal topics such as painting walls, armadillos, and Excel tutorials. Even without them adding anything special or making the videos exciting, they found that subjects would gain a newfound interest in the subject of the channel they were assigned to watch videos for, getting emotionally invested in it and describing a compulsion to seek out new content about that topic, and even wanting to make their own content to share. The emotional reactions weren't just positive though. Even those who reacted extremely negatively to the content would still seek out other videos about it and spent time talking about it, even if it was just ranting at how bad it was for hours on end. So regardless of good or bad reactions, YouTube would make people very invested in what they're watching. Interestingly, the study was replicated years later for VidPlaza, and despite there being no significant difference in content, the investment was much lower. They concluded that the best explanation was the time gap meant that the VidPlaza experiment took place in a time where people were more used to videos, and thus not as susceptible, but even they said it was a shaky explanation. Active servers. So we know now that despite YouTube shutdown, there was still some people, namely YouTube employees, with access to the site for specific housekeeping necessary. After the buyout, certain government employees also got access to YouTube, though they won't share what they're doing with the public. So theoretically the servers for the site still exist, we just can't access them. Or can we? There are rumors spreading about a way for anyone to access YouTube right now in the year 2024. However, there is no concrete information on how to do so, with people claiming something about gaining access to a super secret government VPN, but not clarifying how to get it or what to do once you get it. Others say that there is a version of the site backed up on the deep web, and if you know where to look, you can access YouTube without any sort of loopholes to jump through. But those are just rumors with no concrete evidence. Besides, what would even be newly posted on YouTube over the past 12 years? I'm pretty sure the government isn't posting Let's Plays or vlogs. Hermit Truth. This was a YouTube channel that popped up in 2011, a few months before YouTube shut down. The only mention I could find this outside the Iceberg was a specific thread on r/YouTube archive, where someone asked if anybody else remembers this channel, which had less than 1,000 subscribers. All the videos had no visuals and was just some computer-generated voice. The person behind the channel claimed to be a former YouTube employee. The videos were each short rants about YouTube itself, claiming that it was dangerous for the future, that it was brainwashing people, and that they quit because they couldn't continue in good conscience. Apparently a major topic in their videos is what they claim to work on for YouTube, something called subframes. A subframe is a frame within a frame, something smaller than even the smallest supposed slice of a video. Hermit Truth claimed that While at YouTube, their job was to develop software that would dynamically create and insert subframes that contained subliminal messages into YouTube videos. The messages would be related to the video and would encourage further engagement, increasing the amount of people watching and interacting with YouTube, meaning more money. There is no evidence for this, so I would take this with a grain of salt. There's a lot of crazy people out there spreading conspiracies, and we've already seen examples in this iceberg of people spreading theories about YouTube or YouTube videos that were just completely false. With that being said, there's a lot of technical detail involved, and considering all the weird behavior we encountered in this iceberg's entries, I'm starting to think that Hermit Truth might actually be telling the truth. YouTube cults. Well, we're in the bottom of the iceberg now with entries like this. The word cult is a bit strong here. I'd call these more weird communities than cults, all worshipping a leader. There are a few of these that were actually pretty known, so I'll go over two of the most famous ones. The first is the monkey hate community. This was actually multiple playlists of monkey videos on YouTube, specifically of baby monkeys. While not all, a good chunk of the videos featured these baby monkeys expressing distress or being lightly injured. The videos themselves seem to be a mix of normal nature videos uploaded innocently, as well as videos uploaded by members of the community who would title the videos with some comments about hating monkeys. However, the majority of the hate would be in the comment sections, where people would be too happy to fantasize and encourage harming the monkeys. A lot of them would say that they didn't actually hate monkeys before, but watching these videos filled them with an unnatural rage towards them. This is deeply disturbing. I can't stand animal abusers, so seeing an entire community of them makes me disgusted. Even worse is watching these videos definitely inspired some people to go harm monkeys themselves. I would love for this to be formally investigated and for the people involved to face repercussion, but I highly doubt the government would be interested in investigating a years-old international group which disappeared when YouTube shut down, though the people are almost certainly still out there. Another famous cult is Ariel Gate. This started with a channel called Capes and Crowns, created in 2006. This channel wanted to piggyback off the popular Nursery Rhymes at the time, and they did so by using the popular characters Ariel and Batman, probably to appeal to all kids regardless of gender. However, while passing themselves off as a kid-friendly channel, the content was actually very inappropriate, containing depictions of drugs, bloody violence, and even sexual situations. This is especially heinous since these videos are explicitly curated to lure in kids and expose them to these subjects. After the creation of the original Capes and Crowns channel, a bunch of other copycat channels with similar subject matter and content popped up. I guess that's why it's called a cult, a bunch of like-minded people all upholding messed up values. Lost videos. With YouTube being inaccessible to most now, there is so much content that is effectively lost. Millions of videos, who knows what they contain. Considering the crazy stuff we know about and covered in this iceberg, what other crazy things are now locked away with effectively nobody knowing about them? Leaked future of entertainment patent. This is at the bottom of the iceberg because I believe this happened just like 2 months ago, and not a lot of people paid attention to it. An old patent from 2004 was leaked online, containing the concepts and algorithm behind YouTube's design as well as features they wanted to add in the future. While most of it was mundane, one part is of interest, the one subtitled with an unused slogan for YouTube, Future of Entertainment. The people at YouTube wanted to augment their algorithm with machine learning, not only to better track and profile users, but to also better nudge users into further engaging with and creating content. This included bot accounts that would use LLMs to generate comments driving discussion and encouraging creators to continue making videos. This machine learning algorithm would also draw from the site as a whole, analyzing overall trends in popular videos and then promoting similar videos, and then try and push engagement site-wide. The patent even said that in the future they plan to implement bot-created videos which would automatically upload in order to drive engagement. They believed that this would be a revolutionary new entertainment format, a way to guarantee constant viewership and engagement on a democratized internet platform, and also an easy way to collect user data and push advertising. While this wasn't fully implemented by the time of YouTube shutdown, we definitely did see the beginnings of it. YouTube is sentient. And now we have the final entry. YouTube is sentient. Now, when I first saw this iceberg, I thought that this was a joke entry, typical for the bottom entries of other iceberg charts. However, I do think this has a point. Now, it's a bit over-exaggerated. Is YouTube alive? No. But did its programming go out of control? Likely. As we just discussed, YouTube was initially programmed with elements of artificial intelligence, an algorithm that could learn and even respond to human users. However, while this was initially just meant to promote more sharing of content, even if it was ethically dubious, I don't think it was meant to be outright dangerous. Where YouTube messed up was with their lack of oversight on what the humans posted. Lots of violent and inappropriate content would be posted to that site, and YouTube didn't take it down, meaning that some of them would go viral. It was just a numbers game. The machine learning algorithm saw these early violent videos go viral and used a recommendation system, comment bots, and maybe even the subliminal subframe messaging to encourage more people to engage in this content subject and upload this type of content. This would be repeated again and again across different communities. Stuff like this is straight up scary, even if it's for something innocent like trying to get people to upload more silly vlogs. But it becomes dangerous for individuals in society when the algorithm is convincing people to torture monkeys, manipulating little girls to stab their friends like in creepypastas, and influencing true crime fans to recreate the attacks they watch videos about. YouTube was out of control. What started off as corporate greed turned into something that became a potential existential threat to the psyche of humanity. Who would have known the damage this system could have caused if YouTube had survived to this day, reaching and manipulating billions? But that raises an even more terrifying question. What is the government doing with it? Surely it appears that they are trying to utilize this mass manipulation technology for their own goals, and maybe other countries even are making their own. And countries are much more powerful and influential than a single company. If this is utilized to start mass psychological manipulation, our very autonomy is at stake. So with that terrifying note, we will end this YouTube iceberg. This was a lot deeper and existential than what I was expecting, but it was still a very interesting dive into the old dead website. What do you think about the content of this video? Do you believe in the more conspiratorial side of it? Let us know down in the comments below. Make sure to give this video 5 stars and follow my account so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.